across the globe. Welcome to today's show. In today's show, we have invited our guest, who is Mr. MASHAL GUMA. Mr. MASHAL GUMA is a renowned entrepreneur, the managing consultant of New Minds Advisory Services. Mr. MASHAL GUMA, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell, for inviting me to the show. It's indeed a pleasure.
Now, Mr. GUMA, tell me, what informed and prompted you to run your own business instead of looking for a job?
Mr. Campbell, that question is a challenging question for me. But one thing that I can say for sure is I've discovered over the years that I've worked that employment is a fraud. I'm only paid 12 times in a year, and I could not sustain that kind of a life. I then said to myself, why can't I go there? I've got the intellect, I've got the know-how, let me start my own and be my own boss. And here I am.
Thank you very much for that. What does your company do and where are your clients?
We are an advisory services business which is into common registration and secretarial services. We do offer tax advisory work, we do project management, accounting, and any other financial related matters. We are the experts in all those areas.
Thank you very much for that, MASHAL. Now, a very good question that has been asked by so many entrepreneurs is the question to do with startup seed capital. In your own case, when you started your own company, how did you overcome this particular issue of startup capital?
Yeah, for me, the question of capital is really a sentimental question because it all depends with how you define capital. Capital, for some, it means the monetary resources in the bank account. But for me, it's all about the skill, the intellect. It's all that you need. Because if you know what you are doing, definitely there is a reason for you to start it without even looking at all the other constraints like I have to apply for a bank loan and start this business.
Viewers, we have come to the end of the first segment of our show. Please join us as we come to the second segment of our show. Welcome back to the second segment of today's show, where we are talking to MASHAL GUMA. MASHAL GUMA is the managing consultant for New Minds. MASHAL GUMA, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you, viewers.
MASHAL GUMA, we were talking about the preparation of financial statements. Would you now tell us why is it necessary that entrepreneurs and business owners should prepare financial statements?
Financial statements are a mirror of your performance. You can't really run a business that you don't understand where it is coming from and where it is going. If we then look at our sets of financial statements that we can prepare, for example, the income statement, it tells you about the revenue position of the company vis-a-vis the expenditure position. So without knowing how you are performing in terms of revenue, you do not really understand how you are going to fund your expenditure. You may need to have a good understanding of how your business is performing. We talk of your statement of financial position. You need to understand your asset base and your liability position. These are the same things that you require as you approach financial institutions to say, this is how we are performing as a company. And can we have funding? And this is our position.
Thank you very much, MASHAL, for that. Now, tell me a bit more information in terms of company formation. What are the advantages of somebody registering a company instead of running it as an individual?
Companies enjoy what we call perpetuity of existence or continuity of existence rather. Because if the owner of an individually run business dies, then it means the vision goes. But for a company, it's regarded as a separate legal persona. It's a person that exists outside of its owners or outside of its management. Therefore, if you run as a company, the owner is not there, but the company still exists with other principal members who can still continue with the vision.
Thank you very much for that, MASHAL. Now, in terms of companies, MASHAL, I've read that there are various types of companies. How many types of companies are there in terms of registration when one is supposed to register a company?
In terms of the current act, which is the Companies and Other Business Entities Act, Chapter 24.31, there are quite a number of companies that you can register, but the common ones are the private business corporation, which is sometimes referred to as a sole trader. And there's also a private limited company, which is slightly different from a public limited company in that a public limited company is supposed to register its form of funding by floating shares on the stock exchange. But a private limited company now operates in a private setup whereby you and me can come into a joint partnership and form a business. But there are other companies that we can talk of which are not very topical, like we talk of the cooperatives or we talk of the companies limited by guarantee.
Thank you very much, Marshall. Now, before we can come to the end of the second segment of the show, would you briefly tell us in terms of investments, what are the opportunities available for people who may be interested in getting into starting to run their own enterprise?
There are various opportunities that you can explore, especially as far as Zimbabwe is concerned. For me, I can safely say broking has been the very best business in terms of you registering your company, operating like tenders, getting government tenders, supplying goods in bulk. There's very good business there. Then in terms of transport and logistics, of course, it's an industry that has been affected by fuel, but it's a business that has got great potential, because you really can't talk of people moving away from that business, because at the end of the day, people still need to move. Cargo still needs to move. So at the end of the day, that presents an opportunity case. We talk of retail again, retail and wholesale. You can't avoid food. You can't avoid the basic commodities. For me, those are the topical ones in terms of investment in Zimbabwe.
Viewers, we have come to the end of our second segment of today's show. Please stay tuned as we continue this very interesting conversation with MASHAL GUMA, who is the Managing Consultant of New Minds Advisory Services. Our viewers, please welcome to the third and final segment of today's show, where we are talking to MASHAL GUMA. MASHAL GUMA is the Managing Consultant of New Minds Advisory Services. MASHAL GUMA, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Mr. Campbell. Thank you, viewers, for staying in touch.
Now, MASHAL, in the last segment, you talked about the investment opportunities that are available in the country, in the region, and internationally. Now, I want to come back to you. Why did you choose this particular sector to start and run your own business?
To be honest with you, Mr. Campbell, number one, I'm trained in that kind of industry. That one was alone enough a motivator for me to say, I can run this business as a professional person and with passion. For me, finance is life. Figures are life. So when you talk to me about financial services advisory, it's something that I can even wake up on a day without even money on the table. Then I will say I would pursue this because I love the profession.
Thank you very much for that, MASHAL. It seems you had to follow your passion. Now, my next question to you will be, in terms of preparation of financial statements, what sort of financial reports that an entrepreneur needs to make sure that they are prepared, which can help him for decision making, and what sort of decisions that an entrepreneur can make from financial reports?
Let me put them into two categories. We have got what we call internal management reports, which are used internally, and they have no strict reporting standards, and the external reports, those that are required by law. When we talk of the internal management reports, we talk of your budgets. You can't really operate without knowing how you are going to forecast your operations. You need to focus how much revenue you are going to make, how much in terms of expenditure, be it human capital, rental, operating costs, selling, admin and distribution costs. So you need to plan in advance for those things. And you move according to those plans in terms of your expenditure. That is to say, the budget then becomes a yardstick to say, I've overspent vis-a-vis the budget. Then we talk of the external management report, the external reports. Those are required, those are prepared in conformity with the reporting standards. We talk of the international financial reporting standards. There is no deviation in terms of how you are supposed to prepare them. They are required as the statutory requirements.
Thank you very much, MASHAL, for how you have answered that particular question. Now, this show will not be adequate and it will not be sufficient if we do not talk to the other entrepreneurs who are out there. What sort of advice, motivation, and words that you may want to give out to other entrepreneurs who are already running their businesses?
For me, number one, follow your passion more than any other thing. Because with passion, you can go far. You can wake up and say, I want to do this, even without money. Remember, if you don't follow your passion, what will then happen is, if you are following things like money, If that money is not there, then you are not persuaded to go. If you are an entrepreneur without passion, if you lose money or if you lose revenue in business, then it means you then say, let me go and throw my CV here and there and look for a source of livelihood. For me, entrepreneurship is not about livelihood. It's about creating a legacy. You really want something that goes generations after you. With employment, your death means the generation is gone. So what I encourage you as entrepreneurs is, let's go for entrepreneurship. There is a reward. Generations will benefit from this. Thank you.
Mashal, whilst I had said this was going to be my last question, signs of the times, there is the coronavirus. It has caused problems for companies, it has caused problems for economies, locally, regionally, and internationally. Borders are being closed. What is your take? What's your advice? What can you tell us? What can you share in terms of the impact of coronavirus on industry and commerce as well as economies?
This coronavirus has really caused havoc in terms of how businesses are performing. Number one, travelers are no longer moving. At the end of the day, it means businesses come to a standstill. Number two, there were other companies that were relying on solely on China as an economic destination. Like they buy their goods, they export or import their goods. What it means is, because the effects are being affected by the closure of such economies, it means that businesses are coming to a standstill. But at the end of the day, we still encourage entrepreneurs and businesses to say, let's exercise safety. Safety is the way to go. Where we need to practice hygiene standards, like washing our hands, as is being encouraged by health practitioners. Let's stick to that, and we'll find a lasting solution to this problem.
Viewers, thank you very much for watching our show. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of today's show. In today's show, we were talking to MASHAL, who is the managing consultant for New Minds. Please continue to subscribe as we continue interviewing more entrepreneurs and more business people.